Step into the light where the wild ones roam, where the heart speaks loud, calling this place home. We break the rules, we paint the sky, ridiculously you, we were born to fly. Ooh, it's ridiculously you.
Hey, everyone, this is Julie May and the Ridiculously You podcast. Today we have Kayla MacDonald, who is proof that healing doesn't have to be sanitized or polite or predictable. If you've ever felt like you had to tone it down to be taken seriously, you're going to want to go follow her immediately, but listen to the podcast first and then we'll tell you how to follow her. But really go do it. She'll help you reclaim your body, your creativity, your delicious ridiculousness, one divine daddy at a time. So we're going to get right into healing and our conversation with Kayla MacDonald.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Thank you so much for coming down. So I kind of hinted at it at the beginning there, but you love a good smutty little novel, don't you?
Love writing them. I love reading them. That's just like my jam.
Yeah, this is fun for me because one of my best friends in the world, she has like a smutty book club. And it was like so hard for her to come out about it in the beginning because it's like, oh, I want to admit that I'm doing these things and it's my love and blah. And so I read your podcast application and some of the stuff you do with it, and I'm like, oh, we have to have her on because what a fun conversation of using it, and not just because you love it, there's things that you use within it for healing. So can you tell us a little bit about, let's start with your journey into realizing you loved this kind of writing it yourself, reading it. Tell me a little bit more about that.
All right. Well, please don't blame my parents because they had no idea. Some kids are rebelling by breaking curfew and drinking and doing who knows what else. I was breaking into the NC-17 section of fanfiction.net at about age 12 and onwards. So my love of a good spicy story started well before it probably should have started. But yeah, I started with Days of Our Lives fan fiction. I read it, I wrote it, and it was actually one of the funniest things that ever happened. That was terrifying at the moment. I was, just minding my own business, and this was when MSN Messenger was a thing. And I had two of the women from the Lucas and Sammy fan message site, and they were like, Kayla, someone who's under 17 is writing NC-17 fan fiction. And my heart just stops. I'm like, I know. But I replied, I'm like, oh my goodness. How? And they're like, it's Jacinda. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's terrible. But obviously, I really didn't think it was terrible. And I felt like I cheated death in that particular conversation. So that's really where it started. And that's just always been something I've loved ever since then.
Can you tell our audience, for those not familiar with fan fiction, what is fan fiction?
So there's original fiction, which is original made up characters by an author. Fan fiction is super nerdy. So it's where you take a TV show or a book or a movie and you write stories about those characters. So some of the really popular fandoms are Supernatural, Harry Potter, and people write stories about, Harry and Draco hooking up or Dean and Castiel or whoever it might be. And sometimes the fan fiction stories are better than the writing in the show or the book.
Oh, that's too fun. That's I'm like, I know what fan fiction is, but it was I only introduced to me maybe like a couple of years ago, and I didn't even know this world existed. And I was like, wait, this is hella cool. You can do that? That's amazing. So you discovered it back then. You were doing some writing of it back then. How did that help you in your healing journey, and what has that been like?
Really started as a survival strategy, to be honest. So my childhood was not the most delightful, and fan fiction and writing was really my escape. It was kind of that one place where I had some kind of agency and power. I could write whatever I wanted. I could write a world where I was happy and belonged and everything was good. Or I gave that to my characters because it was fan fiction and I didn't really do the Mary Sue, let's write myself into this and hook up with
Right.
the main guy because that's actually quite frowned upon in most fan fiction circles. So it started out as this survival thing that I did. And then when I moved into writing my own original fiction, that was how I processed a lot of really deep emotions. So my first series was very much like feminist dystopian rage. And it was really how I was processing what I didn't like about society, like how women were treated, especially by men, especially by society, by culture. And then as the series progressed, it also helped me navigate through pretty difficult heartbreak. That was one of the books. And book three again, where I wrote book three during the 2016 election, if I remember correctly.
Oh, fascinating.
So that was a really great way to process some rage back then, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was my first series. And the second series was paranormal romance about shark shifters because we have enough wolves and dragons and bears. We needed more sharks. And this was the series where I really processed some of my own wounds around people pleasing, around self-worth. And it also weirdly, I think, helped me manifest my now husband. So it's pretty cool as well. So it's been a survival strategy. It's helped me heal different parts of myself through the character arcs in the books. And then it's also helped me manifest some pretty cool stuff.
That's so cool. I love that. So when you're writing these books, are they published? Are they out there on shelves for people to enjoy? Or are you writing them mostly for yourselves and like for the fan fiction people and stuff like that?
I don't write fan fiction anymore. You can still find some of my old stuff on fanfiction.net if you hunt hard enough. Now I do have 8 books published, and I've written maybe 4 or 5 more, but some of those books just belong in like trunk, and they were kind of more written for me. So
Yeah,
it there's a little of both.
there's a little of both. If somebody wanted to read one of your books, which one would you suggest they go out and get right away? And where can they get it?
It really depends on what they like. If they want something that's like angry and dark and smutty and ragey that doesn't have a lot of happy endings, The Pleasure Seekers, that's book one in the Pleasure Seeker series. They want something that's every couple gets a happy ending. It's lighter. I think only like 2 people die instead of like dozens. I would go for Great White Shadows. So it really depends on what a person's taste is. And you can find any of them on Amazon.
That's way too fun. So, what do you feel like is the biggest thing you've healed for yourself through these books?
I would say it's really given me permission to be all of me, to
Mm,
be as creative and wild and dramatic and intense as I actually am. It gives me a playground to fully express that because I grew up getting a lot of messages that I was too much, too energetic, too noisy. My mom would be like, Kayla, you're like a Tigger because you jump all over the kids because you want to be their friends and it's too much and you scare them away. And I'm like, so in my writing, I get to write these really wildly creative, often intense, dramatic stories, and people actually like them. So I would say that's the biggest thing.
so this is wild because I have never heard anyone else be referred to as a Tigger as a child, and that's what my parents called me because I was bouncing all over the universe. And my dad would be like, "Julie, quit tiggering." That's it was like an action for quit tiggering. The Twigger situation has to stop because I was like, boop, 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 like a full of energy. So that's wild for one thing. For another thing, I want to hear a little bit more about what you think women need to do to help like reclaim just kind of autonomy and love for their body. One of the things we're all about here is like self-love. And it sounds like there's so much that they can learn and do through writing of stories that can help them kind of reclaim like this is me. This I like my tiggery self. I love all of this, everything we have here. But what do you think people need to know about like just reclaiming their bodies and autonomy there and just kind of self-love.
I would say one of the biggest shifts that has helped me and many clients is shifting from this place of control to cooperation. Because we live in this world now where you're given all these messages about weigh this, be this size, you can spot reduce and get abs, all these different things. Instead of being like, my body is the vehicle that lets me do all the things. And when you move from that place of cooperation, I'm looking at, are my habits and my routines rooted in this place of cooperation, or are they rooted in control? And they can be the same habits, things like mindful eating, things like having protein with every meal. But
Yes.
looking at what the intention is behind it, because if your intention to have protein with every meal is because I'm trying to keep my hunger cravings at bay and I need to build muscle and not have any fat, that's very different than hunger actually keeps me full and keeps my energy stable, so I'm not crashing later in the day. So as you can see, they're two very same things, but the intention here is very different. So that's the first place I always get people to ask is the habits, the practices I have, are they rooted in control, trying to get my body to look a certain way, or are they rooted in this place of cooperation? I want my body to feel its best. I want energy. I want stable mood. I want to be fully creative, and I want a clear channel for creativity. And you get that through taking great care of yourself. It comes from that really beautiful cooperative place.
I agree 100%. One of the things I teach all the time, this is how I see it. World according to Julie. Because I love myself, today I'm going to choose to eat the foods that support my body. It is not out of because I'm not good enough or because I'm trying to deprive myself for this, that, or the other, or because I cheated last night, or now I'm good. I hate the words cheated and good compared like in equation with food or how like it's dumb. But because I love myself and I want to honor and sustain myself and have energy and do all of those things today, I'm going to choose foods that look like that for me. So, I think it takes a lot of the shame, blame, guilt outside of the diet and eating space, which it is filled with. It's so stupid. I'm sorry. I'll be like soapboxy for a minute, but I'm like this thing that the food we eat either inherently makes us good or bad, or the size of our bodies, or the thing we chose to do that moment. Like it's kind of insanity that food has been linked to, like especially with women, a self-worth and like how you show up in the world. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you in connection with that, I mean, I know reading through your stuff, you're very into helping people have healthy bodies and have bodies that sustain themselves and stuff. It's one of my loves as well. How has the smutty novels helped you heal your relationship with your body so that you can do that better?
Oh my goodness, get ready. So you did mention the Divine Daddies at the very beginning, and this is where the smutty book talk meets inner healing comes from, and it's helped me more than anything else maybe ever has. So what this is it's two different archetypes, both dudes, and one of them is like the fiery, challenging one that like doesn't take your excuses and he tells you just to write the email like a normal person when you don't want to, but he does it in like a really loving, fiery way. And then you've got the one that's like gentle and emotionally stable and grounding and reminds you you can take a nap. You're enough as you are. You don't have to prove anything. So you've got these two archetypal characters. And what I do is I get my clients to create their own because they might not like a fiery guy that tells them to shut up. I personally do because I think it's hot. But so they make their own personal archetypes, and these archetypes actually help them throughout their daily life and with their health journey. So it helps them break through resistance. It helps them handle cravings without having to turn to food. It helps them celebrate themselves and their wins. And it's just this ongoing reminder that they're already enough as they are. It gives them this unconditional love and also unconditional attraction because depending on the client's personality, they can really spice this up and have like a lot of playful, unhinged fun with it. And that's where it just gets not only hot, but also healing because we don't just have to heal through hard work and, oh my goodness, my inner child is so sad and I've just got to like nurture her and hold her and it can feel like babysitting and it can feel
Yeah.
not the most fun. So when you can actually still navigate wounds and difficult emotions, have a little bit of fun while you do it, it makes everything A, feel better, and then B, you're more likely to be more consistent with your journey because you're enjoying it. So that is how I weave in the spicy book talk stuff into a healing journey.
Oh, that's fun. So your clients come to you, they create these archetypes, and then what do you see happening for them after that? Like once they've created them, what things do you notice that are different about them as they move forward?
Varies client to client, but their habits do start to change honestly quite naturally. Like I had one client who mentioned, I just started drinking more water and I felt easy and I felt like it came out of nowhere. So little habits will shift like that. And they'll often find that they're just enjoying things. They're more present. They're better at keeping promises to themselves. And yeah, I think the biggest thing is that they're letting themselves have fun and play again.
Mm. Okay, so controversial ask. So we're talking about these being kind of like male archetypes. Is there a reason for that? Is that to help heal like daddy issues? Is that because so many people out there are like, everything has to be in feminine energy. All of your healing should be in feminine energy. You should just be surrounded, and that is the only way to heal. And you're coming at me with, okay, we're gonna do this with some male energy, and some of it's gonna be a little dominant if you're into that. But like, tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay, where do I start? So I would start by saying that personally, I had a lot more challenges with my mother. So dads felt like an easier avenue to work with inner child children with. And another thing that I think
Mm.
is really interesting is that I think sometimes we are on this pendulum of like feminine energy is so important, so important. We totally forget about the masculine. They are both so important. The masculine is like structure that works in service to feminine magic and wildness and all of that. So when you do this work, you are the feminine. You are your wild, creative, fully expressed self, and you show up with it to these two masculine archetypes who hold it, who contain it. The other important thing here is that I created two masculine archetypes for myself. The clients I've worked with so far have created two males, but I do say if male is not your jam, you can do male female. You can do female female. It's not so much about the gender as it is about the two energetic qualities. So the fiery, challenging one, and then the safe, emotionally stabilizing one.
Mm. I kind of like that idea of having them hold the masculine energy because that almost allows you to be in feminine energy more because it does like all creation takes both, right? People who are like just be in feminine energy. I'm like, that's not how creation works, man, woman, yin yang. You kind of need both. So like that's how everything works. But in my mind, just the way you described it, I'm like, oh, I can see how having that masculinity be in that archetype would allow you to be more in your feminine flow and kind of hold that energy there and be really, really cool. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that. Okay, so you talk about healing inner child stuff. What kind of inner child stuff do people come to you with?
Interesting. So inner child work is one of those things that gets talked a lot, but I don't think it's often recognized for how profound it truly is, especially in healing things like self-sabotage. Because we are going to have like our main adult self that has the goal. In my work, it's often getting in shape, getting healthier, eliminating binge eating, whatever it might be. That's what our adult self wants to do. But then we've got all these younger parts who often carry old wounds, old emotions, old stories from the past, and may have created stories where they need to binge eat to be safe, or maybe they need to have extra body weight on their body to be safe, or they need to avoid exercise to be safe. It can be all these different things. So when we do inner child work, it's not just so that this younger part of us is like comforted for no reason. It's we're giving them compassion and understanding and care and teaching them that, hey, we actually don't need to eat an entire pizza every time we're sad anymore because we have these other tools because we're in a place where we're safe to feel the emotions now. So that's what clients will often come to me with in terms of inner child work.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's so, so important to do that inner healing work because if you're going to do anything that's, especially in the weight loss realm, fitness realm, and you want it to be like long-term sustainable, you can't come at it from this point of view of just like restrict your calories forever, restrict your carbs forever, do none of the healing work and just like try and count the things at nauseum. At some point, you're going to break and do the thing that your inside feels is more appropriate. So I'm like big fan of doing all the healing work you can get because food and health is not just about food and health, man. It is about safety. It's about mommy issues, daddy issues. It's about self-worth. It's about the kid who bullied you in second grade. It's about, how rich or poor you were as a kid and food scarcity. It's about how somebody teased you about something silly. Like there's so many little pieces that come to be like how you treat your body and food as you grow up that all need to be looked at in a way of, and I go to use the word healing and I'm like, I don't even know if I love that word, but it's more like that idea at the beginning where it's more like a cooperation with younger self and older self and coming to a place of new goals. Because it's not like those things ever go away. At least in my mind, anybody that's like, oh, that'll just go away forever. I'm like, you're cute and you're trying to sell me something. But additionally, you have the memory of those things, but it's like you have a different relationship with it. You don't have the emotional response. You don't have, and a lot of times when people are going to emotionally eat, they just know they're stressed and their body just says emotionally eat. It doesn't go, oh, you're emotionally eating right now because that one time when Jimmy said to you this in next to you in at lunch recess. Your brain does not do that. But you automatically just start having different habits. Like you said, they just start drinking more water. They just start moving more. They just start having a more clean stopping period. They just start automatically doing some of the things that are more healthy, more aligned with their true self, which is going to be to honor what works best for them. So, are you ready for a lightning round? Okay, cool. A childhood TV crush that shaped what your love life looks like.
The last part gets me. I was going to say James from Pokemon, but my husband is like the opposite of a villain. So I'm going to have to go with Ryan Gosling from Breaker High because he was like a nice, sensitive, funny guy.
That's fantastic. Okay. Tell me one of your writing rituals when you're sitting down to write. What's one of the writing rituals you do every time?
I use a role-playing game for writers called For the Words. So I pick out some monsters to kill before I even start writing.
Give us an example of what that could look like. What kind of monster would we want to kill?
Okay, right now they have a special dinosaur event. So you might have like this T-Rex and you have to write 1,600 words in like 2 hours. And you have to have like a dinosaur skull in your inventory if you want to fight him.
Oh, that's fun. Weirdest compliment you've ever received?
Hmm. I am drawing a blank on this one.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right. Well, we may come back to it, we may not. Uh, Last time you danced like no one was watching. When's the last time you just sat out and danced it?
This morning.
Well, that's pretty good. What kind of music do you like to listen to during dance time?
I listen to a little bit of everything, so I have an eclectic taste, so rock, pop, even some metal. Very little country, but there's a couple songs here or there.
Hmm. If this season of your life was a book title, what would the book title of this season of your life be?
Hmm. Well, I've actually been dancing like every morning pretty consistently, so I would say it's probably the season I threw my ass into my dream life.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay. Okay, that's going to change what I ask next then. Like, describe your dream life to me.
So we just moved out up north in a beautiful house surrounded by nature. I get to work full time on my business. I get to write, I get to podcast, I get to be fully creative. I'm making new friends out here. And yeah, I have the best husband. So
We love that. That's the best. Okay, so you work a lot with people who do what? They want to lose weight, they want better relationship with your body. Tell me a little bit more about who you work with.
so I work with a lot of high performing type A women who know exactly what to do and they know they can do it sometimes. But for a lot of these women, it's not about the food. The food is actually a protective mechanism because they have these
Yep.
big dreams that require more of them, that require, overcoming the fear of judgment, overcoming fear of being too much, all these different things. So they've tried all the other things. They know it's not about food. They know it's about power and self-expression, and they're ready to do that much deeper work.
Mm. So maybe they've tried like the traditional path. They've been like, I did the Weight Watchers back in the day. I've tried this diet. I've tried that diet. I know the technical things, but I actually need to maybe heal through some stuff on top of it. That guy. Sounds great. If you had another last message for our audience, what would it be?
Hmm. Biggest one I often leave people with is remembering like they're not broken, they're not a problem to fix. And when they can step into being the hero of their own story and treating whatever they're going through as like plot twists and, you know, character arcs and opportunities for character growth, that dissolves so much unnecessary shame and stress and just feels so much better.
Mm. So if you're out there and you're thinking that, because how many of us haven't done that? Like you've tried all the diets, you've done the things, you know technically what to do. Like a lot of us know exactly, we technically know what to do, but you're like, what if I could get deeper healing? What if it could be fun? What if somebody understood like my love of all these fun novels and could get really in there? Then what you want to do is you want to connect with Kayla. Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at Embodied Writing Warrior, and my website is embodiedwritingwarrior.com. And if people want to hear the whole Divine Daddies origin story on my podcast, which is super fun, that's on my website as well. So it's embodiedwritingwarrior.com/Divine Daddies. So super easy to remember.
Well, I love that. Kayla has been a good reminder that healing doesn't have to be boring, like we said from the beginning. It can be a dang good time, and there are beautiful, like different ways to heal your inner child. I think so many people out there think it has to be you sat in a drum circle and put your hand on your heart and you spoke to your inner child. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Like, I've done the things, I've done the things. But additionally, what if it could be fun? What if it could look a little bit different? What if you've done those things and you're like, and I'm ready to spice it up and try something new with somebody with fun, high energy? What you want to do? You want to find Kayla. You want to find Kayla MacDonald. Tell me the website again. It was embodied. Tell me again.
Writingwarrior.com.
Embodiedwritingwarrior.com. Embodiedwritingwarrior.com. It's going to be in the show notes and in the description below for those of you who are listening to us. That helps you go find it really quickly. And with that, thank you so much for being on here. I love people who have such a different point of view about how to do healing and how to make healing fun, how to connect with your body in a really healthy way is a giant passion of mine because loving all of the ridiculous parts of yourself, I think people hear that and they think it's just the mental stuff like, oh, maybe I have autism or I have bipolar or I just have a spicy personality, or it's about loving this beautiful physical body that we get to travel this earth with. Like, what a beautiful gift we've been giving. And if you can find a way that's super fun to get in and change your relationship to something more loving, more healing, more connected, then I am all for it. And with that, This has been Julie May and Ridiculously You, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Share the spark, take it higher. Hit subscribe, bring a friend. Let the wildness never end.